Hello, I'm Elaine Stevens, and I want to welcome you to Art Beat. Here is one of the female entrepreneurs of the Anderson clan, and as you can see, she's not going into pottery, she's making snowballs. So let's see, I think I want that blue raspberry. Is that okay? Is that all right? Okay.
Right here.
All right, that looks great. All right, I'm going to be enjoying my snowball, so we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this message. Welcome back to Art Beat. So Peter, do you have a special name for this room?
This is a kiln house. We have a few kiln houses here, but it's not actually used as one anymore, but it used to be.
But it seems to house the clay in its most natural form, is that correct?
That's right. This is where we keep our materials
so show
now.
us and tell us where it all comes from.
Well, this clay, which is actually found in Baldwin County, Alabama, this is the raw form that we mix ball clay and feldspar and silica with this to make our throwing body, which is very plastic and very easy to use on a wheel.
But it takes a lot of moisture to get it to that pliable point, yes?
It does. It does. It's we mix it with water, yes. Probably about 16 gallons of water to 126 pounds of material.
Wow. Well, let's go into the other room and take a look at the next step that's involved. And so from here to the next point, how long does it take in order for it to get to this stage? I mean, just obviously you just bring it over here, right?
As fast as the wheelbarrow can go.
So you bring the clay from the kiln room over here, and what is this called?
This is the blunger. This is where we mix our slip. We put all the materials into this with the water, and then from the blunger it goes into this, which is the press tank and the filter press here.
Now it comes out of this spigot here, as I understand it, right?
Yes.
Does it pour out, so you
As
actually have a
liquid.
container, and then
We just, with a funnel and a bucket,
put it
into
here.
the press tank. And under about 100 pounds of pressure, it's forced into this filter press where the water is forced out.
So all the way through these pipes and all the water squeezed out of it.
Right.
Then what happens? Is that when the clay is workable?
That's when the clay is workable. From there, it goes down to the wedging table down there.
Okay, let's take a look down there. So we're walking towards this, it's called a wedge table?
Wedging table.
Wedging table, okay.
That's right.
And what purpose does this serve?
Well, the clay comes out of the filter press, and we work it up on the wedging table. We work the lumps and the air out of it.
So is it literally like kneading bread?
Some people do it that way. The way we do it, we actually pick it up and slam it down a few times, cut it, and basically fold it is what we do. And we do that about 20 times.
So that process takes about how long, do you think?
About 10, 15 minutes.
Get a lot of stress out by throwing that
That's
baby around on the wedging table. Huh?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where do we go from here?
Well, once it's here, we cut it up and weigh it out, and it goes to the wheel.
Now, is this the scale that we're
That's
looking at?
the scale we
That's
use.
the scale that you use to weigh it out, okay.
Right.
So, and then you just weigh it on this side. And
I weigh it.
what is the magic of weighing it? Why does it have to be weighed like that?
Well, when you're doing 80 mugs, it helps to have them all the same weight.
Weight, and
The
so what
size.
is the weight?
I believe he does those, 12 ounces, I
12
believe,
ounces,
for those.
okay. So
We-
everything is measured out.
Right. It just makes it easier when you're making a batch of cereal bowls or mugs or goblets or whatever. If you're going to do something that you want to look alike, to have it weigh the same to start with.
And after this, then we actually throw it on the wheel.
Right.
Is that correct?
That is
Okay,
correct.
So and then from there, it's baked.
From there, we let it dry
And you trim it
and we trim it. Right. And then it goes into the bisque firing.
into the bisque firing. Okay.
That's right.
Well, I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take a little trip down to the showroom,
All
and
right.
we're going to take a look at the finished products
All right.
right after this commercial break. So Marjorie, we are standing here in the museum room, which you've always wanted, and you finally got your way after Katrina.
Yeah, Katrina gave me.
Standing here
Museum
before
room.
history, before your uncle's work.
My uncle and my father's.
Your father's work. And some of these bowls represent a combination of their work. Is that correct?
Combination of collaboration between potter Peter and decorator either Walter or Mac.
Tell us why you wanted a museum room.
Because I had cabinets and various things scattered throughout the showroom, and that was a huge temptation to people. They would say, "How much is this?" And I'd say, "I'm sorry, it's not for sale." And I thought if I had it all together in one room that was a museum room, it would be less tempting and frustrating for visitors. which it's proved to be.
Yeah, so everything is put away nicely and yet visible to guests that come. But at the same time now, we're seeing some of these pieces that you salvaged from Katrina. So what effect did Katrina have on the showroom here?
Well, it brought us a brand new showroom,
Yes,
for
it
starters. It brought us some new glazes and some changes in the way we do things. It made us, I'm sure, appreciate what we had a great deal more. I've always loved it, but I've learned to appreciate more. Appreciate my brother and the other people who produce Shearwater and their major efforts to bring us back.
And of course, the Gulf Coast appreciates your being back, because the morning of Katrina, I remember hearing, well, Walter Anderson Museum is gone. But I think there was some confusion about Shearwater, and that we were brokenhearted to know that you were gone. But so how have things come back for you here since the storm?
We've had tremendous support from our friends and family and our tourists that come back to the Gulf Coast regularly, and new people are coming regularly. We do advertising, word of mouth, so it's thanks to all the people that spread the word about Shearwater. And people do like to come to a little out-of-the-way place, and there aren't a lot of those left in this world.
That's true. I don't want to leave it today. I really don't.
It's a good place for the soul, and it has beautiful things in it. I may be a little prejudiced, but I think they're extra special, and they make people feel good.
Well, what a wonderful place to work. I mean, you're surrounded by all of this incredible beauty and history. And yeah. What I had heard from you before was that there's a remarkable new energy, sort of a revitalization within the artists themselves and the business itself, that you're able to keep up with some of the orders now.
We are. We're doing very well. We didn't take orders for over a year until we felt that we could meet people's wants. So we can now. We do still limit orders. We don't get in over our heads. We try not to keep somebody waiting 5 years anymore.
Yes, well, it's worth waiting for, Marjorie. But now, I understand that on this end of this cabinetry that we're looking at, there are some pieces that are from Walter and Peter and Mac. And then you said some of the newer things are on this side. Can we take a short walk over this way and take a look at it? So what do we have here? I see.
Well, this is all Walter. This is decorated by Walter. Right. The vases and pots are thrown by Peter. These are sculptured pieces by Walter. So this is
still
mainly Walter.
Well,
this end cabinet has, this is my sister Patricia's decorated work. These are pieces by our present potter, Jim Anderson, Peter's son. These are more of Jim's, with the exception of this beautiful little vase, which was decorated by my grandmother, Annette McConnell Anderson.
Wow.
And on the bottom we have my brother, Peter Michael Anderson, and we have a man who worked for us in the 40s named Francis Ford, and he's in there.
Oh my, so it's a kind of a conglomeration of many things. I'm fascinated by some of the work, because it's decorated by females, but the pots themselves are not thrown by women, are they?
Well, no, it's decorated by men and women.
Men and women.
No, the decorators depend on the potter.
Right.
Some of them have lend their hand to potting, but mostly the potter does the potting, and he develops Shearwater shapes and glazes, with the exception of the sculptured work, which is done by either Walter or Mac in their time, and the quail and the duck here, Jimmy did a little bit of sculptured work that we made molds for, so we can repeat them today.
Now, I didn't hear your name mentioned in any of this.
I'm the business manager.
Okay, there you go.
We have
somebody to run the business.
A lot of producers and creative people. What we don't have is a lot of people that want to do the business in, so they kind of need me.
Well, don't tell her I said this, but her brother James was telling me that she's fabulous at it, just fabulous. So.
Well, I never thought I would be doing it.
So.
We just, I'm amazed at what he's done to bring Shearwater back after Katrina. and I did my part on my end, and everybody else did their part. So that's why we're back.
We're so thrilled to do that. Right
family
after this
affair.
message, we're going to come back and I want to show you something that takes me back to my childhood. So just stay with us. You know, Marjorie, when I was a good little girl, my mother would bring me out to Shearwater, and I can remember this box in the back room, and it held the silk screens as we were discussing earlier. But at that time, I was able to open the box and explore. Now, I noticed that you have a sign here, so we need to explain why that is.
Well, because the hinges are bad because it's been through Katrina and was found in the debris, and we don't want anything to happen to it. Plus, there were people, some of them quite heavy, that chose to sit on it, which was kind of a mistake.
Yes, and of course this box was designed by Walter Anderson.
Box was
and painted by
made and painted by Walter Anderson, and we kept the block prints in there, and after Walter's death, in particular, people came and looked at them. Then they began printing so heavily that I had to have 2 more big bins beside Walter's, but they're gone. One of them stashed under the showroom, but the person who made it says it can't be repaired.
Wow. Well, it's
yes,
remarkable
people,
that it made it through.
Many people come in here and say, "Oh, I'm so glad you didn't lose that." So
this is
we're
a sign
glad to
of
have it
that's a
back.
sign of Shearwater long ago and Shearwater today, and
Yes,
we're
it
so
is.
happy that it's still here. Is there anything in the main showroom that you would like to show us that that we can take a little stroll over that way? Would you like to do that, and we can take a look at a couple of things? So Marjorie, there's just an air newness in here. I smell the fresh wood. It must be wonderful for you.
It is wonderful, and just a couple that came in today said, it smells so good.
It does.
So a little over 2 years later, and it still smells new.
It does.
The one person said it smells like the old showroom, which is kind of impossible because the old showroom was very old and
It
kind
was
of
old.
musty, but it did have a nice
It
smell
was,
to
but
it.
it had a magic all its own now.
Yeah.
May I, if you don't mind, I'm going to reach over here and pick this up. But this is one of the very typical types of work that we see here. It's been around for quite a long time, but there's a story associated with its political correctness. And you were telling me that there was actually permission given for this of sorts.
Well, my mother was afraid that it might make things worse in the early 60s, so she wrote and spoke to the head of the NAACP and asked if we should stop making them, and he said, no, Mrs. Anderson, it's quite all right, you just keep making them. And so we keep making them.
That's a beautiful story, because you know it's something that when you walk in here you expect to see the pirates, and you expect to see the African American statuettes and black people riding on different little animals and that sort of thing. It's part of Shearwater's history, isn't it?
It is. They just go on, but I will say in the politically correct thing, my sister wondered if with President Obama maybe we should limit them somewhat, and my brother started doing them in the Shearwater glazes, which are the solids and the drips.
Yes, I see that.
So some of them have been done in the regular plain glazes instead of being hand painted, and people are loving them. It gives them a whole new look. But I don't have one in here to show you right now.
Well, we can take a look at it later, but I have to say that, you know, for you to be that politically conscious and to be that involved in the community and the spirit of global affairs is a remarkable thing for artists that have been here since 1928, and I commend you. Now, if people want to come out here, how do you tell them the easiest way to get here? They seem to find it, but...
Well, just go south down Washington Avenue until you come to the little children's park. Then you take a left to the dead ends, and then you take a right, go over the Harbor Bridge, and then you'll see a little dirt road on the right, and it has a Shearwater Pottery sign. It works pretty well.
It makes it sound easy, and it is pretty easy. And once you've been out here as often as I have, you can
we
find
don't
it
have,
like that.
We're missing a sign right now at the children's park, but it seems to be okay. Yeah.
Well, I just want to say in closing that being with your family today on a hot summer afternoon in Biloxi, Mississippi, and Ocean Springs, Mississippi, has warmed my heart considerably, and I'm sure the people out there really just appreciate the fact that the Anderson family and all of the descendants are still here creating this beautiful, beautiful pottery and all the many things that you do create. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, because we wouldn't be appreciated without you all.
Please come to Shearwater. You're going to love it. We'll be back with more Art Beat next week. If you have any ideas, please let us know. Go to WKFK.com and email us, and we'll get your favorite artist right here on Art Beat. See you next week. Thanks, Marjorie.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Bye.